I feel like I've been talking so long. Hey y'all, hey, and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here. My name is Shadiamond. I am a homeschooling mom to a 6, 4, and 1-year-old. My son was going to be 2. So in today's video, I want to do an update. I see everyone in the homeschool community doing a mid-year homeschool update or curriculum changes, what has worked, what has not worked, and things of that nature. So I just wanted to share like our journey, the progress the girls have made thus far, any changes that I'm implementing, curriculum that I'm changing, all of that stuff. So let's get into the video. So back in, I want to say April of last year, I shared my curriculum picks for math and language arts, right? And in my language arts video, I shared that I was going to try to incorporate teacher chattery in 100 easy lessons or Afrophonics for my 4-year-old. And it's safe to say that I didn't use either. Honestly, I started with the Afrophonics, maybe a few lessons, and then I quickly just dished it to the side. Like, my way of teaching my children to read in the beginning is pretty much like dry erase board and marker, or letters, tactile letters, or magnetic letters. It's not necessarily like reading off the page, if that makes sense. So that's something I did not use, y'all, Afrophonics and the teacher chattery in 100 easy lessons. I just haven't. Now I consider picking back up the teacher chattery in 100 easy lessons just to kind of advance my 4-year-old a little bit. She is reading, she is building her fluency, so that's not an issue. It's more so I'm trying to get her to a more advanced level of reading, like on a different grade level. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, as far as the language arts curriculum, we were using the good and the beautiful language arts because number one, is free, right? And for me, for homeschooling, I want to keep it as budget friendly as possible. Like, I can, you know, when people say you chew up the meat and spit out the bones, or however the saying is, y'all. So it's like, no, the curriculum is not perfect. It's not the ideal curriculum that I would want to use, but because it's a free resource, I can pick and choose what I read out, what I allow them to do, what like flow or whatever the case may be to go with it. So we haven't utilizing that resource, but I think I'm at a point now where I'm like, what is something else? We stopped the math curriculum last year and moved on to something else, but I was like, let me stick out with language arts because I don't have another curriculum lined up. I see a lot of people recommending different things. So this term we have been using the language arts curriculum consistently, and so my 6-year-old finished up the first grade curriculum maybe like 2 weeks ago, and so I was like, do I move her on to the second grade curriculum or do I just switch it up? Now, I do hear great things about logic of English and all about reading, all about spelling, and I'm like, I'm not sure which one to pick. And then I'm like, she's a fast learner, so do I really need something that's, you know, super formal or super like in-depth, that's very expensive, or can I get by with just getting us learning a scope of sequence, or whatever it's called, y'all, like in the order in which to teach certain things, and just figure it out on my own? So I'm trying to figure out what we're going to do. So far, I have resorted to using things from Hand to Mind, and I have been using our manipulative. I think the biggest thing for like second grade language arts and just grammar and things of that nature is figuring out sentence construction, writing, paragraphs, different types of writing. Grammar is big. So I started pulling out our reading rods, which are on sentence construction. And so Hand to Mind, I've shared about them before, like my favorite free homeschool resources. So they have worksheets that coordinate with these little rods. And so we have been building sentences with these. We've been talking about punctuation and things of that nature. So that's going to be my approach so far since we finished the first grade curriculum. I did notice that they jump around a lot. And I'm like, you know, it was cute and all, but like all children are not going to really grasp and like master skills when it's like this day introduce this thing and then the next day something new, or whatever the case may be. So that's what I don't really like in terms of that curriculum. But again, like, I can kind of use anything to build a base off of and just figure out where the loopholes are, what needs to be supplemented with, and things of that nature. So for my 6-year-old, we have been looking at second grade curriculum. So I'll probably print out a few, you know, things just to give her something to do while I'm working with my 4-year-old. But I mean, look, Like, the curriculum is not something I recommend like as top of the line. It's just like something if you're on a budget, if you want something that's scripted, just open and go, then it's a curriculum that you can look at. One thing I dislike though is how scripted it is, like in terms of one book with the instructions and all of that. Because say for instance, my 6-year-old is reading everything that I'm supposed to read, and maybe she worked ahead of me and she misread a little bit and she kind of like did the things wrong, right? That's something I don't like about that. Now when the children are younger and are not reading or cannot like read the instructions, that's fine. But I feel like if there are advanced readers like my daughter is, sometimes they can move ahead, which is a good thing. But it's like when it's something new, I just want to make sure she has that solid foundation first before, you know, moving forward. And so that's the one dislike that I have. And I feel like we're at the stage now where I have to transition to something else, because she reads my part and her part and do the work before I know she has done it. And I feel like either I have to read over the lessons beforehand and like just go over it with her before she even opened the curriculum, or I have to, maybe that's my only option, right? Or just do it alongside her, right? So that's that. So my 6-year-old, she's good with language arts. You know, we're at the 2nd grade level. She actually been at the 2nd grade level. I just wanted to go through the curriculum to see if I was missing anything, or if it's something that she needs some more work on, what she's not grasping, what she's not understanding. So yeah, now in terms of my 4-year-old for language arts, we are maybe like midway through, maybe 3/4 of the way through the curriculum. She's 4, so she's on the kindergarten curriculum, and she's doing she really enjoys like the activities where they have her cut out things and paint things, and what else? The little interactive things inside of the book. So she really likes that. Like, she will ask me to do her language arts like every day, or however often that we do it. So for her, it's going well. She's not as strong of a reader as my 6-year-old. Obviously, they're 2 different ages or whatnot, so I don't really feel like I have to make a switch for her just yet, because it's kind of like a soft approach, and I'm not like as, I don't know what's the word to use, but like I'm really teaching at my 6-year-old level in terms of pacing and schedules and things of that nature. With my 4-year-old, I work with her consistently, but it's not like I do with my 6-year-old, if that makes sense, because I don't want to put too much pressure on her, but I also don't want to like limit her to doing the things that she already had mastered, if that makes sense. So we're just breezing through that a little bit. If I make a switch for the curriculum, I will probably just use it for both of them, right? So that's that. And then, I feel like I've been talking so long already. In terms of our math curriculum, I went with Math with Confidence, and I shared a video on that as well, so I'll link that one. We are using the 1st grade level as well as the kindergarten, and we absolutely love it. Love it. Like, my girls enjoy it. They really enjoy it. I really enjoy it. I have learned a whole lot about teaching math, why it's so important to learn conceptual math, why it's so important to have a great relationship with numbers as opposed to memorization, like conceptual knowledge and things of that nature. Like, I'm really enjoying learning the subject of math and how it's approached in this curriculum. I love the interactiveness, the preparation is low prep, but it uses things around the home. It requires them to move, be active. It's not a boring curriculum at all, especially the kindergarten one. I guess because, you know, kindergartners have a lot of, you know, energy, and they need to move, and they need things to touch, and they need to understand, you know, things around them, like everyday life, right? To branch it with the math that they are learning in their workbook. So I love the curriculum. We only have like 3 more weeks in the curriculum, and then I'm gonna buy the 2nd grade level and the 1st grade level for both of the girls, but they are loving it. I did consider like trying to find a program where it can be like a supplemental type game type thing where they can do on their tablets once they are done. In the beginning of the year, we were using Homeschool Plus, which was an online homeschool curriculum. I had it free for 6 months because I did a campaign with the company, but the girls really enjoyed it, and I love the math portion of it. But the thing is, it costs like $30 a month, I think, or $60 a month, something like that. And I'm like, I don't know if it's worth it. So we have not found anything to replace that. They really enjoyed it. the program moved them up to whenever they mastered a math skill, it moved them to the next level. And I think my 6-year-old had got up to the 2nd grade level, mid-2nd grade level, when we stopped it, maybe in October, November. So I'm considering something else like that. Y'all know any of the online like math homeschool games or homeschool programs that's like not a full curriculum but something more supplemental, let me know. But I absolutely love Math for Confidence, y'all. Cannot say this enough. I didn't know about the what is it called, preschool math at home. That's the preschool version of it, but I'm gonna definitely be getting it for my son when it's his time to start learning about math and stuff like that. Which you don't need a curriculum for, like toddlers and preschoolers, but it's fun to look at different games and activities that they have already put together. So I am gonna be checking that out for him when it's his time. In terms of what else, y'all, science, I just did a video on how I cover science and history. So for science, we are implementing some new things, right? And I'm not gonna really go into it a whole lot because I have a whole video on it, but we have been enjoying the subscription boxes, as well as incorporating the science shows like Storybots and A to Twist, Wildcrafts, things of that nature. So all in all, like, my girls have made tremendous progress from April, when we pretty much started our school year, to now, which is January. And so a few things that I want to work on with them. For my 4-year-old, I want to work on her handwriting, and I want to work on her, it's kind of like a reading fluency, right? So making sure I carve out time for her to read appropriate level books for her to build reading fluency and things of that nature. That's really my biggest thing, like working on handwriting. She's fine with reading, she's fine with math, like she loves math, she's really good at math. With my 6-year-old, I want to work more on, like, get more into writing. So I don't really pressure my kids to do a lot of tracing or a lot of letter formation or things of that nature if they're not ready for it, right? And I don't really make writing letters backwards a big deal in the beginning because children usually correct that on their own. Like, my 4-year-old would write it and she'd be like, I wrote it backwards, right? And so it just takes practice, and I don't really put it, like, I don't really be like, you wrote that wrong, like, you know how to do this, right? It's more so like we can guide them. So I guide her and tell her, we start at the top, we go around, we go down, whatever the case may be. That's how we do that. In terms of, what am I missing? In terms of health, we have been enjoying our little health curriculum. We just branch it into like our everyday life, and recently we talked about like a fire escape plan for our home, what to do in the case of an emergency and things of that nature. It's always good to refresh that. So I just like having things in place to give me topics to discuss. Like, I'm not always thinking about a list of things to cover. I'm not always thinking about checking things off a list, but if I have these things, I will periodically pick them up and go through things we have not discussed, just to give them exposure and things that I feel like they should cover. So that's that in terms of curriculum, I think. In terms of making changes for history, I have not done anything that's really heavy on the girls, like in terms of like really diving into slavery and things of that nature. Like, we talk about it on the surface level and they understand the concepts of slavery, right? We read books all the time, picture books. So I think I'm going to continue with the picture books approach, and visiting museums and like historical places and talk about historical figures and things of that nature. So I don't want a full curriculum for that. For health, I'm going to continue to do what I do. I do want to incorporate a cooking thing. Like, we have the subscription box that's called Yummy Crate, where it sends us a box every month about different things science related in cooking, and gives us different recipes to try. But I want to like literally teach them how to cook, like to learn the art of cooking. This is something that I didn't really learn growing up. This is not something that people tend to teach their children formally, but I do want them to learn as much as they can. Who knows, exposing them to cooking in this way could lead them to be a chef one day. And so that's it. I feel like that's all I have, because we only focus on math and language arts, and the other subjects are supplemental. For my 6-year-old, I am using the Evermore workbooks, the science and the geography workbooks for her. She loves those. They're super like light for her. We have a little discussion, and if I need to, I'll pair it with YouTube videos and things of that nature. But for those subjects, she's fine. I don't really think I would change anything. I think the only thing I would do is probably like start doing a little bit more with my 4-year-old because she's ready to learn a lot more, and just be consistent with the amount of days that we do homeschool. Like I supposed to been doing it 4 days a week, but we took a lot of breaks this year or this past semester. A lot of breaks. Some days we only did homeschooling 3 days a week. Some days we did 2 days a week. It just depends on what kind of week that was. So I do want to be more consistent on my part, on my behalf, of just making sure the girls get their things done, and also making sure that our trips out don't really interfere with learning. But I want to like try to do it early in the morning since my son is older now, and then go from there. Let me know how things are going for y'all. Are y'all making any changes? Do you have any recommendations? If not, I'll see you guys in my next video.